Watch the cup.
Yeah, we'll throw my loop over it. Yeah, how did the mic go that time?
Oh, fine. I didn't hear any complaints. I was just going to, so you want to put your socks on.
Oh, well, you're cutting that low now. The short socks.
Yeah, that would be good.
Ooh, boy.
Hands down.
Yep.
Tape is rolling.
Okay, go ahead, Bobbie.
It is really a pleasure to have both of you, Lee Marvin and Charles Bronson, in Dallas for this special screening of your movie. And aside from all the fantastic action and adventure that it has to offer, it is visually so beautiful, shot there in the Canadian Rockies. But for actors, that had to be a tough location. Lee, what was it like being on location there?
I don't know, Charlie. We had to do a lot of running around in snowshoes, which I never worn before.
The toughest part with the snowshoes, because they were period snowshoes.
Big,
4 feet long, and they wobbled this way, and if one of them wobbled this way in front of the other foot, you stepped on it and went like that. You might have to do the shot over, and it was that sort of thing.
But it was such beautiful country.
And in doing it, you know, and even in that cold, with all those clothing on, we began to sweat. I lost, I think, about 5 pounds in perspiration.
You had a
nearly every
90-pound
day.
pack on your back, for God's sake. You know, and then furs.
But
and
otherwise, it was beautiful and nice, very nice.
Yeah, we loved the country.
I was watching you, Lee, when you were watching the movie, and I have never ever seen an actor enjoy his own picture as much as you did.
Yeah, well, I wasn't looking at myself. I was looking at the other actors, and I just thought Charlie was sensational in his opening shot there. I just said, wow. But then when you get to because the posse group are basically a bunch of really bad people, and the byplay between them and all that stuff just broke me up. I just loved all those dopey actors were, saying, I ain't dumb, and you're dumber than dumb. And, I mean, it's really good, silly, marvelous. I just think it's, I really enjoy that.
Charles, for you, what was special about doing this picture?
It was a part of a man's real life. It was a controversial life at the time, and this is the important part about it. Also, working again with Lee. We had done our first picture together, and now we've done our last picture together. Not that it's been our last picture, but so far it has.
Have you maintained...
it was nice working together.
Have you maintained a close friendship through these years from that first picture with Gary Cooper until now?
No, you know how that works is that Charlie and I have worked together quite often through the years, but when you're as busy as an actor is when he gets on a show and is concentrated for the thing, that you do a whole lifetime within that embryo of the film, and then you might not see each other for 10, 15 years. But when you see each other, you just say, Charlie, and
it's like it was yesterday.
And yesterday, not a second of time has elapsed.
What were the circumstances of that first movie you did with Gary Cooper, Charles?
You mean on how we were hired?
Well, what you did in the movie, what your roles were, and working with Gary Cooper.
We both played seamen. And the original title of the picture was called USS Tea Kettle, and it was supposed to have taken place during the war, and it was an experimental ship. They called it a tea kettle because that's what it sounded like, and it made a lot of steam and everything else. And Gary Cooper was the captain, and we were seamen, and it was a laughing stock of the Navy, this little ship and its crew, you see. And we were part of the crew, and we were like fools, actually.
What year was that, Lee?
1950. That was my first line in a film. I think I said yes, sir, 3 times. I broke through from the extra role to the bit player. Yes, sir.
Well, you must have said it very well because your career
Well, how can you say it badly in a military situation?
But it did, what was the next film? Did you get something then as a
Then we
result
did the
of
next
that?
one together, except that we weren't in the same scenes by any means. I'm in the front end and he's on a train, and we was a Diplomatic Courier.
Diplomatic Courier with Tyrone Power.
What was it like?
Patricia Neal and...
What happened was, it was the director, Henry Hathaway. He was a very famous director, really, and directed a lot of beautiful things. He liked Lee, and he kind of liked me.
And he liked Charlie, so he must have known something then, huh?
He formed a little company, as it were.
Well, yeah, in a way, but the thing is that we were just fledglings. And, I was an extra. I was hired as an extra. Charlie at least was hired for a part.
You were hired for a part.
No, I wasn't. I was an extra in Norfolk for 3 days, and he kept me on the picture and brought me out to California.
I have heard it said in interviewing actors who have worked with Cooper that they just think he was one of the fine film actors of all time. Maybe, not quite in the category with Spencer Tracy, but so many actors have told me, said, Coop was really a good film actor. Did you find him that way?
Absolutely. He was in a class with anybody. I mean, any of the greats. I mean, I remember as New York actors, we all used to say, Hollywood. I mean, all he can say is yup. And then years later you say, boy, if I could say yup that way. But he was something special, very special.
Were you impressed, Charles?
With Gary Cooper? Yes, I worked with him a couple times.
Was he...
Worked with Spencer Tracy, too.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that there's much difference between the two as far as what they were able to get on screen? Would you put them in the same side by side?
No, I wouldn't. One was... Gary Cooper acted more or less spiritually, and Spencer Tracy was earthy. But there was a difference.
Yeah, that's a good description. I've never heard it put that way. Yeah, because Spence was the working man reasoning. Law, justice, right and wrong, from the man's point of view, not the book's. Whereas Coop was he was a loner, a true. So that's why
It was like a poetic
Yeah.
mentality,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean. It was kind of a bit above earthy.
That's very good. I'm glad you
Yeah.
said that, because I've thought about it for years and never put it in those words.
Yeah.
Well, again, I must tell you that it's been a pleasure having you here in our area since I'm a hometown girl.
That's
And
delightful.
we hope you won't wait too long to come back, and we hope that Death Hunt is a big success for both of you.
Oh, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Lee.
Okay,
Nice
bye-bye.
to see you. Charles, nice to meet you.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll give you a couple of reactions. All right. Not too close. If you can kind of cut me a little bit wide. Something like that is fine. Okay. I'll do reactions first. Okay, questions? Aside from all the adventure and the action in this movie, it is so beautiful to look at, filmed there in the Canadian Rockies. But it had to be a rather arduous location for you actors, wasn't it? The two of you have worked together. Between your first film and this film, did you maintain a close relationship? That first movie now with Gary Cooper, what was that all about? What were your roles?
What did you think of the picture?
Let me think just a second. Okay. I have heard it said, other actors have told me this, that Gary Cooper was a really superb film actor. Did you find him to be? Would you put Gary Cooper in the same league with Spencer Tracy as far as a film actor is concerned? Would you put Gary Cooper in the same league with Spencer Tracy as far as film acting? Okay, that should do it.